What's going on, everybody? Hope you are having a fantastic day. As always, thank you so much for turning in. And today, Bumblebee is helping us because it's time for MDLX Bumblebee. So we're going to go ahead and crack into the ThreeZero mini DLX figure of Bumblebee. I had actually gotten this fellow a little while ago. I've just been very lazy, which tends to be a common thing for me. Also, to be honest, I wasn't blown away by it. Just looking at it right out of the box, it was pretty plain Jane in the shipping container, so I wasn't like, oh my god, I gotta get this guy open. But we'll go ahead and take a look at him. We'll let this fella breathe and get him next to the normal ThreeZero Bumblebee that they do. That way, if you're wondering, stand up better, buddy. Oh, that didn't go as planned. Yeah, you're good. You can see them side by side. Now, honestly, with this figure in general, I was a little bit underwhelmed by the box. It does look really neat in some regards. They did a cool little artwork there. The side of the box is actually really neat and super presentable, so if you were going to keep these in box, having a whole roll of them is going to look awesome. Back of the box is kind of plain Jane, nothing too exciting there. And then they've also got a cool design on that side as well. But realistically, I was almost hoping for like a flip cover or something. Honestly, I thought it would have been super cool if they added a little brown box for it and just kind of treated it as one of their higher end figures, but you know, with a little mini love. But either way, I digress. So we'll go ahead and yank him out of his hard candy shell. Now, he does come with a good amount of stuff, so that's pretty impressive right away. You get a couple different hands and an extra head sculpt there if you want to change him out to give him, he should have more of a classic look and then the battle ready look as well. Now the MDLX figures are based off the old cartoon, so they're all going to be relatively G1. If that's kind of your jam, these figures might be the ones to go with for you. Or the big bad boys are pretty dang cool. So just the initial feel of the figure, it honestly does have some pretty quality material to it, I can say that much. It feels like a lot of it's going to be metal and plastic, probably more of a metal interior with some plastic on the outside is my guess. But it's tough to say. It honestly got a good amount of weight to it. Definitely a durable little guy. We'll go ahead and get some nice up-close and personal views of them. Now, with these figures, they don't transform, so if that's what you're looking for, you are in the wrong spot. But as far as getting a cartoon-accurate version of the robot, this really does do a stellar job of that. The way they painted it and lined everything just looks amazing. It's honestly got more of that kind of 2D animated look to them, which I think is super rad. So I'm definitely digging that. Get the nice little VW wheel on the back. I did some darn good job with this. I'm pretty impressed overall. It does remind me a lot of the Revoltech figures, so if you've gotten any of the Revoltechs in the past, pretty similar in that regard. But let's go ahead and see how wild we can get with this guy, because I have a feeling... Okay, so that's probably not supposed to happen. Oh, they move. That makes it easy. Alright, so that's even better. These little panels here, you can just kind of wiggle to get some... oh, you'll be able to get some wild poses with this fella. Alright, he's winning me over as I play with him. Now, these guys are a little expensive. They're right around the $50 to $60 range. I'm guessing some of the bigger ones, like Prime, might be a bit more just because they are scaled with each other, so Prime should be a lot bigger. But personally, this is the only one I was caring about. Now, my initial thought was that he was going to scale up nicely to the War of Cybertron Megatron. I think he's a little too tiny for that, just to be honest. Because figure Megatron is a little taller than Bumblebee, that Bumblebee. And this guy barely comes up to a little bit higher than his knee. So he's definitely a short little dude in comparison. But as far as I'm concerned, I'll be able to do some fun Bumblebee team-up actions and have a whole squad of bees, which I really don't mind. So, just getting some kind of up-close looks. That wheel does spin, so if you're a weirdo like me and wanted to see, well, there you go. Really did do a great job on the actual detail of this guy. It is a double joint in the knee, so you'll get a lot of bend there. So that's pretty dang cool. Not a ton of mobility in the ankles. He does have a little bit of a pivot there. And you can get a little front and back, but his feet, the base of his feet are huge, so he's going to stand pretty easy without much problem there, so that's always a plus. Right now, the only thing that's somewhat annoying as I play around with them, and really this is just for me not knowing how to properly use this guy quite yet, these guys keep getting bumped out of place. Now, I imagine in an ideal scenario, and this is probably what it tells you in the instructions, you would move them first, then move the legs around, and then reclose them. Usually that's going to be the ideal, just so you don't break them or anything like that. But I'm a little wild and careless. Quite frankly, I'm surprised I haven't dropped him already. But definitely a cool little dude. I'm really digging the paint scheme now that I see him out of the box. I really like the lining they did on that. It's a good look. It reminds me of kind of the manga visualizations that they've done of like the Dragon Ball and Naruto figures and stuff like that, where they really look more like the animated versions themselves, just the way they painted it up. I think they did a pretty stellar job at that in this regard. So overall, I'm pretty happy. Gonna kind of keep this one short, pun intended, just because he is such a tiny little dude. Now you do also get a blaster with him. I'll probably give it to him at some point. There we go. It's actually pretty decently painted, all things considered. And it does remind me of like the unnecessarily large accessories that you would get with some of the old Transformer toys, so it's kind of cool in that regard. I mean, realistically, I guess it's not horribly disproportioned for him if he was holding it. Eek! I guess that's a drop, right? That almost counts. But I was never a big fan of throwing guns on him, especially B. B doesn't seem like the type who should be shooting people. I mean, maybe Movie B, he kind of slapped some people around, but, you know, Cartoon B, run and hide. So that'll pretty much do it. Honestly, if you're thinking about getting one of the little ones, I don't hate them.